of the sidelines for many years.
The Honourable David Parker.
Mr. Speaker, on planet Labour, I live in a country where we've got the highest unemployment in 20 years, the highest rate in 13 years since Bill English was last Minister of Finance. I live in a country where, despite the National Party promise to stop people going to Australia, 180,000 people have gone, more than the population of Hamilton or Napier Hastings combined, or Dunedin and Invercargill combined. I live in a country where the government promised 170,000 new jobs and the number of jobs is going in the wrong direction. I live in a country where youth unemployment is high, where Maori and Pacific youth unemployment is over 20%, with the base levels of unemployment amongst Maori and Pacific unemployment is 15%. I live in a country where we have the second worst current account deficit in the world after Greece, and next year it's worst in the world, and I live in a country where exports are down. Mr. Speaker, on the other side of the land, we've got the National Party saying it's all going well. Well, what do you have to call them? What's that? Well, I think after Paula Bennett's episode today, you'd have to say that's fantasy land. And in Paula Bennett, we heard her today rewriting the next episode, the next reissue of Disneyland. We've already had Grumpy Growth English saying grumpy. What the heck does grumpy growth mean? It's fantasy land. Then we had Paula Bennett saying unemployment is bumpy. Bouncy. So bouncy. I can't close my eyes when I say that. Mr. Speaker, we had her saying the unemployment figures are bouncy when the quarterly employment survey has had filled jobs going down. The household labour force survey has been going the wrong direction for 3 quarters in a row, and unemployment is terrible after 180,000 people have gone to Australia. So we've got grumpy and bouncy. Well, I thought, who's dopey? And then I thought, Mr. Speaker won't let me say anyone is dopey, but I had to say it was a dopey idea to improve educational outcomes by increasing class sizes. Now, unfortunately, there's 2 people with responsibility for that, Bill English and Hekia Parata, so I won't call anyone dopey. Then, of course, what's Mr. Key? Well, he's either surprised or forgetful. I'm not sure which. He was surprised unemployment was going up, or sleepy. No, I think it's surprised or forgetful. Bill said unemployment was going up. ANZ National said it was going to go up over 7% over time. Forgetful, well, we've got .com. We remember the brain fade over. He can't even remember where he stood on the tour. All those important years, the drinking age or anything else. Now, I was asked by someone, who's Snow White? Who's Snow White? And I had to think for a while, but exactly, it's Judith. Judith Collins is trying to reinvent herself. She was Crusher Collins, now she's soft. She's lining up for the future, competing against Stephen Joyce for when John Key gives up, tired of this job. He doesn't like being surprised or characterised as forgetful, and he's looking pretty disenchanted with the job. Mr. Speaker, we've got all these problems in the country, and the government won't do anything about the serious issues. They won't remove the tax bias in the economy. ASB just today said the favourite investment class of New Zealanders again, rental housing in Auckland. We need a capital gains tax to get money into the productive sector. We need universal KiwiSaver. We need a government that's willing to help our exporters and the people that are employed in those industries by doing what the IMF and others are saying are necessary. If you're a small trading nation, you have to pay attention to your exchange rate as well as to inflation. But National, no, they say they are on the right track. Who else thinks that? Mr. Speaker, on the other side of the House, it's fantasy land, it's Disneyland. It's time that they acknowledge that this economy is not working for ordinary New Zealanders. They're leaving in their droves, 1,000 in a month to Australia. Others, people, declining rates of home ownership because people can't afford their own house, in part because they're competing against residential landlords. It's time to change track.
Point of order, the Honourable Craig Foss.
Thank you,
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker. I seek leave to correct an answer to a supplementary from Mr. Hipkins.
Leave is sought for that course of action. Is there any objection? There is no objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I inadvertently answered one of Mr. Hipkins' questions incorrectly. It was the one about compensation for someone that may have suffered penalty because of their mortgage mispayment. I apologise to the House. I misheard the question. I interpreted it a different way. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education has consistently made it clear it would reimburse any staff member who has been financially disadvantaged by their transition to Nova Pay, such as incurring penalties on a missed payment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
Speaker, only 3 sleeps to go to the Labor Party conference, and I don't know who's more excited, us or the Labor Party caucus. Because, Mr. Speaker, on that day, we are going to find out really what is going to be the future for the Labor Party, and I predict it's going to be very, very dismal. But these people are like kids waiting for Christmas. David Cunliffe cannot wait to unwrap the Christmas presents. Grant Robertson is already nibbling on the cake in the fridge. And, of course, once again, Clayton Cosgrove is not going to get the present he wants, because he is the one person who is not being named in the leadership speculation. But I don't think it's any surprise, Mr. Speaker, that their party is saying that they are going to have to get their caucus to swear an oath of allegiance during leadership competitions. But I don't think there is a single oath that could bind David Cunliffe, because he is to loyalty what Taito Philip Field was to honesty. So quite frankly, I think these guys are in massive trouble. It's going to be a very interesting weekend. But another very interesting factor this weekend is going to be the debate around the policy remits that the Labor Party are putting forward. Now, we've heard a lot from these people today about job creation and their great laments about what they think is going on in the economy. But when David Parker spoke, the only idea we heard was a capital gains tax. That is their prescription for getting the New Zealand economy back on track. So they are focusing all their efforts on tearing each other apart on a fruitless, thankless leadership competition. And the guy I feel sorry for, frankly, is David Shearer, because David Shearer is a decent man, and he is too good for these guys, quite frankly. He is a person who is doing his level best, but these guys just, quite frankly, do not appreciate a quality leader when they see him. Because 11 of these people were meeting with David Cunliffe last night. They were wandering around, members and guests, looking for a place to plot. They very rarely go up there, so they didn't actually know where they could find a private room. And there they all were, all the lefties. They were just there from the meeting with Helen Clark. Jacinda Ardern was there, Parakua Horomaya. Clayton Cosgrove wasn't invited because he's not in the Cunliffe camp. Sue Moroney was there, Ruth Dyson was there, and they were doing the numbers. They were circling around, working out how are they going to install a man who they can't stand as the leader of the Labor Party. And if you want to know the reality of it, you want to read the Herald editorial today, because they're saying David Shearer is a very decent man. He's actually got a personality that appeals to New Zealanders, unlike some of the other leadership contenders. So these guys are really in a cleft stick there, because they've got a leader who they don't support, who's fundamentally a decent man and a decent bloke. The only alternative for them is a guy they can't stand. And who are they going to put in? And the fact is, I don't think anyone over there has got the guts to stand up and take the leadership when it's on offer. And I predict what will happen is that David Shearer will ride this through and continue as the leader of the Labor Party, because none of those people are going to seize their chance. And that's what you've got to do in politics. Grants all talk, but it won't happen. But if you're really worried, you should be, because when you read this list of Labor Party remits, it's all about banning stuff and stopping jobs. So here we go. What are they going to do? They're going to nationalise any partially sold assets. That's going to be up for debate. So it'll be interesting to see how they go on that. They're going to ban seabed mining and for minerals, oil and gas. They want to ban fracking. They're going to ban all coal mining. These are the basic ideas from the Labor Party base. But there are some good things here according to their base. They want a super gold card for transport. for under 21s. And at the same time, they're going to lower the voting age to 16 and make te reo compulsory for everyone under 15. They're also going to bring back so-called healthy food in schools. They're going to ban companies that do not pay a so-called living wage from winning government contracts. Well, that's going to be something that Clayton Cosgrove is really going to struggle to understand. So when you look at what we've got here, what else have they got? Direct Kiwi Rail as to who must win their tenders. Raise the age of super to 67 for everyone except Maori. So if those are the ideas that are coming out of the Labour Party base, do you really think, when you mix that together with the green prescription for printing money, is that going to be a path for getting the New Zealand economy going? And more importantly, that is not from the National Party Research Unit. These are your policy remits for debate and decision. There is not one idea in here for getting the economy going. If you look at the facts, the National Party has got the economy going in the right direction. Half the deficit, back into surplus by 2014-15. We're on the right track.
The Honourable David Cummer.
You're taking political